today's episode, we will be talking about forgiveness, a controversial topic, but we want to tell you that there's a difference between forgiving someone and holding them accountable. Hi, we are two bitter babes, and we're awesome. Okay. So welcome to our podcast where we talk about things that made us bitter and how we're learning to bring sweetness back into our lives.
It's so hard.
It is really hard.
It is
but
hard.
We're doing it.
We're trying to do it. And I listened to something today and I realized that I have to forgive myself first.
Yes.
I have to forgive myself and I have to take responsibility for my part in whoever I need to forgive, right? I need to forgive myself for staying in a relationship for way too long. And I have to forgive myself for being a part of all that and not listening to my heart, compromising and thinking that I was doing this for our relationship.
Yeah.
And that's kind of hard.
Yeah, I feel that.
Because at first you just feel like I'm a fucking idiot.
Yes, I felt that too.
Yeah. And I felt like, why the hell didn't I leave when I felt like getting out of this relationship like that was the only alternative? But I kept choosing to stay and I kept consciously choosing to stay. I kept telling myself,
Yeah,
I'm going to choose to stay. These are the reasons why I'm choosing to stay in this relationship. And I'm going to live my best life with it. And I kept doing that throughout the whole thing.
yeah.
And now it's like,
you.
I look back and I'm like, oh, fucking idiot. Right?
I've said the same thing about myself.
Mm-hmm. And then so the first thing I realized, like, how do I forgive myself? I have to forgive myself first because it just makes me so bitter. It makes me so mad that I stuck around for 20 years. Why did I do that? Why did I sacrifice that time and someone else thought it wasn't worth it anymore?
Right. And I think that's part of the work, answering that question. Why did I do that? And there's a good reason if we're going to be kind to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
There's a good reason, whether it's the way we were raised or indoctrinated, or we were doing what we thought was right as women, taught to be good wives and partners and mothers and all that kind of stuff. But I remember I would talk to you and other friends and just be like, I feel so stupid, and feel like, oh, don't feel stupid, which I understand, but that doesn't take the feeling away.
Right. Maybe you do have to feel like an idiot at first just to understand, sit with the feeling and be like, well, why do I feel like an idiot? Why do I feel this way? What did I do to contribute to this? And I have to take ownership for the parts that I contributed to. And it's just really hard to forgive yourself first, to even want to forgive the other person. And then the other thing that makes me so bitter too is like, I just don't think he cares about any of it.
Yeah.
Just going around living life, not caring. And
I definitely know my ex doesn't care. Yeah. Well, that's who we are. We are two caring babes.
Even though we're bitter.
We're
not
bitter,
mutually
caring.
exclusive.
No. And that's a good point that you make, because forgiving ourselves and forgiving our exes isn't mutually exclusive or excusive. There's no excuse.
Yeah.
No. It's a process. I think I will be forgiving myself and being hard on myself my whole life. I'll be wondering and also having acceptance through my whole life. It probably just depends, right? Like sometimes I feel really strong and sometimes I don't. And sometimes I have a lot of patience and compassion for myself and other times I don't. And it's like the path to forgiving another, that has its own timeline too. Like when I can see my ex, like I imagine him as this cute little child that I've seen pictures of. And I go, gosh, I know obviously some of his background, we were together for almost 30 years. So I know some of the things that probably contributed to his problems. We'll just call them problems
all
right now.
goes back to our childhood traumas,
Yeah.
right?
But I had childhood trauma too. And I've been learning how to reparent myself so that I don't make decisions or I don't harm people based on my trauma. Like, you can't just use that as an excuse. It's a reason. And at the same time, you could be like, every time I work on myself, I'm just a better person, a better friend, a better mom, I was a better partner the more I worked on myself. And he didn't put that kind of work on. And it was just like, oh, all these things happened to me. And so I'm just going to take it out on everybody for the rest of my life. It's like,
Right.
no,
Right.
no.
Well, and then there's the holding accountable part. You can't hold them accountable. The only people that can hold them accountable actually are the people that are still around him. I'm not. I ruined myself completely, right? I haven't seen my ex since the day he left. And it hurts, right? That other people don't hold them accountable. Like,
Right.
everybody was super shocked when he left, even his family, my daughter. But do they still? I don't know what they're saying to him, if they're saying anything at all.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, oh, I just got away with that and still gets to be around my kid, who's his stepdaughter. My nephews are from my family, not his.
Yeah.
Why? Oh, I just hate it so much.
It's really hard. With my ex, my children and my friends have decided that they don't want to have anything to do with him. So that makes it easy on me, even though I told my children, like, don't feel that you have to do this to be loyal to me. You get to have your own relationship with your father. So if you ever want to reconnect, because they're in their 20s. So who knows how they'll feel in 10, 20, 30, however many decades, they might want to reconnect with their father. And I wanted them to know that they can do that and not worry about, betraying me or anything like that, because that's their relationship. And it's hard to be estranged from a parent. I don't want them to be estranged from their parent, but they also know that their dad isn't doing anything to be the father that they need. So, but my ex, the way I'm holding her accountable, I'm not doing anything. It's just that she wants me to not be upset with her. She wants me to just, oh, hey, how you doing? And it's like, no, you have to acknowledge what you did, acknowledge how you hurt my family, acknowledge the consequences of your behavior and apologize. That's what I think holding somebody accountable. I have forgiven her as a person because I think we all come in as beautiful babies and then we get twisted by this world. It's hard to live through sometimes. So I get it. So I've forgiven her as a person. And at the same time, you ain't going to get my open arms until you make repairs.
Well, you get to hold her accountable. I'm a nurse, so I advocate. I'm an advocator. I advocate for people who don't advocate for themselves,
yes,
or speak for those who can't speak for themselves. So when when I feel like I'm not being advocated for, someone's not speaking for me, it just,
I know. I hear you, because with my family, it's like, instead of being mad at the person who harmed our family, it's like being mad at me for speaking up, right? It's like, just let it go, just da da da, and let her come to the parties and all this stuff, which I'm saying she could come to the parties, but
you don't have to be your bestie about it.
No, I don't have to. That's the thing. I don't want to be fake. And it's like, people just want to forget. And I don't know if that's real forgiveness. I'm not an expert on forgiveness, but just through my own experience, if you're just playing nice, but somewhere inside there, there's still that pain, that betrayal.
Yeah.
If you don't get like even an acknowledgement, like, I didn't mean to hurt you, but I see that I did, and I'm really sorry.
Yeah. Acknowledge it. And that's what most kids want from their parents too, right? Just acknowledge in my space that you fucked up.
Right. It doesn't make you a bad
person. All you need. All you need to do is validate. So I want to talk about the word grudge though, because I think that's just, I think it's a valid word, and I think people are like, oh, you shouldn't hold a grudge. Why shouldn't I hold a grudge? I think like what you're saying is, yeah, she can come to the party. Doesn't mean where I'm going to be like huggy wuggy and let's rub noses and stuff like that. But it's like, are you being considered as someone holding a grudge?
Some people
So
do.
what? Yeah. So what?
Yeah.
It's not, you know what? I don't, people like, oh, it takes so much energy to hold a grudge instead of forgive. Right now, I'm finding it way more energy expensive to forgive than hold a grudge.
I want to look up the word grudge and actually see what is the actual definition of it,
Yeah.
because I already have forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
And so it doesn't really, what I'm doing, holding accountable is like I'm setting a boundary. I can't be emotionally intimate or close with you.
You can't trust her.
Yeah, because a lot of reasons that I'm not going to go into right now. But holding a grudge, no, I'm setting a boundary. I'm enforcing that boundary. That's the boundary that I need to hold. What kind of people do I want in my life? Not
Mm-hmm.
people who are going to lie, not people who are going to deny, not people who are going to change the narrative to fit their comfort zone. So, is it holding a grudge? I mean,
But I could just see how people, like you said, are telling you, no, just let it go when I don't have to. Why do I have to let it go? I still haven't forgiven the situation. I feel like I need to forgive the situation of the circumstance. I don't know if I'm ever going to forgive my ex for the way he exited out of the relationship. And
yeah,
I don't, right now, I can't see why I have to. I can't see why it will benefit me. I just can't see it.
yeah. I don't think we have to do anything. I think it'll unfold naturally the way it's going to unfold. There's no timeline. Everybody has a different way and pace that we process things.
I mean, do I wish I can sunshine of the spotless mind it out of my brain? Yes. Do I wish I could just go back and scrub it out? Yeah, I do.
I know,
I
but
someone who
yeah.
was like the other day said, "Well, I hope," because they had a horrible breakup, horrible, almost 30-year marriage too. And she's like, "Well, I hope that you found a positive your divorce." And yeah, there's a lot that was
Yeah.
positive of it.
Yes.
But I'm still pissed. I truly feel like 20 years were stolen from me. I don't want it back.
I hear you.
No, I
But
don't want
how
this
can it
back.
be a waste with like the wisdom you've earned?
Why do I have to go through all that just to gain all that wisdom? Why do I gotta do that? Didn't I just read a book?
Because I think humans are lazy and we learn more,
Why,
but
why didn't I just read a book that would have taken me only 2 days to read?
okay, I read a bazillion books, but I never read one about narcissistic personality disorder. I never read one about attachment styles. It wasn't until after when I
No.
started becoming aware of this. So I read a lot of stuff. I went to, like, I had us go into therapy and marriage retreats and all this kind of stuff, trying to work on our relationship and work on our marriage. But I wasn't getting the information that I needed to even, first of all, know that I was in an abusive relationship.
So that's why I'm like, why, universe? Why?
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 And then I think about it. I think about the family that I came from. Like my parents' relationship is all right. Well, I'll be kind. How was I supposed to have a healthy relationship when I probably never even seen one before or felt one before?
I thought because this relationship was so opposite of my other relationships that I was doing the right thing. But I do look
Yeah.
back and I do realize that I went from one extreme to another. So I went from one like crazy relationships to one that was so mellow and so easy that it was just became, I don't know.
That makes so much sense.
So I looked for something that was quiet and mellow and no drama. And it was like that. And then there were times where I was like, I even said to him one time, I'm like, I wish we would just have a knockdown, drag out fight. Not physically, but just like, let's just scream and yell at each other. And, he's just like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. Why not? Because we never do. And
Because
we
I want
still
to be able to know how you really feel, and I want you to know how I really feel.
maybe, and I was probably telling myself something. I'm
Yeah.
sure I always was, and I just wasn't. Why don't we listen to ourselves?
To me, it's pretty clear. I was shamed out of it. You
Mhm.
know, I was punished or affection was withheld from me if I spoke my truth a lot of times.
I also learned today too that there's just women who, I mean, we are so conditioned to be able to do it all, to
Yeah.
work, to do the housekeeping, to take care of the kids, take them to their soccer, take them to ballet. Why? Why are we so pressured to do all that? I don't know that men have that same type of pressure. I don't know. And then are we looked at as failures when we don't actually get that all done? Or like, what if we fail? I just feel like we're failures if we
Well,
aren't able to accomplish all that.
right. I mean, to a lot of people, we would be considered failures. We would be considered not good wives or partners. We would be considered selfish,
Yeah.
you
Because
know?
what if I was the kind of mom who was just like, I don't want to take my kids to sports. I don't want to drive my kids all over town. Like, is that bad?
I see people doing their best, and I see people also doing their best, and it's not very good because our society is not very family friendly. It's not child friendly, it's not mother friendly, especially because we're not like a community oriented society where, I mean, I remember just going, two people is not enough to raise kids. Like, I need a break. And then he's like, well, I just got home from work, I need to decompress. And I'm like, I've had this child all day, take the child, you know. And it's like, wow, no.
And that's not considered a real full-time job either, right?
I
Staying
know.
home and taking care of your children, or you are home all day.
Oh,
You
I
know what it takes
know.
to entertain these kids, man? Oh my
and,
God.
and that's why,
And keep them alive.
and keep them alive, I did my freaking
God.
job. You
Look, your
know,
kid's
I
still alive
that's why I'm
today.
so bitter about my divorce settlement, because it's like he literally wanted to give me nothing. You know, because we did make the agreement. We were just so traditional. We made the agreement that he would work and I would be home, and
Mhm.
along with that agreement goes, I'm going to get, you know, you're going to provide for me in retirement. Well, here we are close to retirement age. He doesn't want to give me anything, saying that I didn't do anything.
Yeah,
Mister, I raised your kids. I kept them
just
alive,
kept them
like you
alive.
said,
They're
and
so,
they're thriving.
they're not in
Uh,
jail. They're not drug addicts.
exactly. They're enjoying their lives, their partners, their friends, and it was not just a slap in the face. It was like a punch in the gut. I felt like so not important. Like what I contributed as a mother and a wife just was not acknowledged.
It's
It
so,
wasn't valued at all.
and how do you forgive someone for that?
I guess I see forgiveness differently. I'm forgiving
Maybe so.
the
Yeah.
person. So forgiveness to me doesn't mean that it's okay.
Hmm.
Forgiveness just means like I acknowledge that you're a fallible human. And I also acknowledge that I have to protect myself from you. And that's where the boundaries, really
So,
strong boundaries are.
so I should forgive him for sucking as a human being.
No, I'm not going to tell you you should do anything. No,
But
no.
that's what I feel like right now. I should be like, I forgive you for sucking.
Yeah, I forgive you that you're shit because I know you weren't born that way. I mean, maybe some people are born with some kind of brain imbalances, but it's
Mhm.
something like we all have a soul that's pure, I believe. I believe we came from source and we go back to source. Obviously, I don't have any science to back that up, but that's who I'm forgiving. When I forgive him, I see a picture of I don't know if it's fucking pictures here anymore, but just such cute little pictures of a baby, toddler, little
Mhm.
cute little kid, right? And that's why I'm forgiving. It's like if I were an adult and I knew that child, I would love that child. And even if he was being bratty and acting up, you would, like, I know from my experience as a mother
Mhm.
and from working in the classroom of how to like respectfully and compassionately and firmly deal with kids or interact with children who are acting up.
I guess I don't view him as when he was a child and how he was brought up. My part is like, I want to forgive him for just not valuing
Yep.
20 years. I have a hard time forgiving him for not thinking twice about the person that he was with for almost 21 years. Like, it just seemed like he just turned a switch off one day and just said, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm out. I'm not going to even try. I quit.
Yeah.
Because that's basically what happened to me. It was just, I quit out of nowhere. I still have sex with you.
Right.
But I'm going to quit you.
I can't believe all the sex we had after he stopped loving me and started sleeping around. And I thought we were making love as a husband and wife, and he was screwing a lot of other people. So I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you're feeling similar to me, like devalued.
Yes.
Unimportant. And that really hurts.
For sure.
That really hurts. And we're probably never, ever going to get that from them.
Oh, I know.
And that's why it's like,
or an acknowledgement.
Exactly. And so that's where it's important, like, for us to develop that within ourselves. And then also
and that circles all the way back to, I got to forgive myself.
Yeah.
For staying with someone who obviously didn't value me at all.
Right. And I think the more we value ourselves, the more we will be able to forgive ourselves, you know, and then just having friends like you who also value me. That's what, like,
we've been friends like 30 something years. Shoot.
Yeah. Man, we were before those bitches.
Shit.
Hell yeah.
Shit.
And it's like,
I don't know.
That's one thing that taught me. It's like
started dating and doing all this.
Oh my gosh. Well, we are coming up to the end of our time. So, you know, I just want to say to our audience, if you liked what we were talking about and you would like us to continue, let us know. You know,
because really these bitter babes got lots to say.
Subscribe, follow our podcast.
Yeah. And most importantly, like, I hope we reach other women who are feeling the same way, and just know that we do have a lot of value. We just, we got to find it. And I know that this sudden break for me really made me go back to realizing how strong and independent I was. And I lost that a little bit, you know, because you're just you're in a long-term relationship. But I also hope that we reach a younger generation, which, like, you know, I get it. You don't want to listen to a couple of middle-aged women who just, I just hope that they say, hey, they've lived a little bit of life and I'd like to get a little bit of a step up before shit happens, and be emotionally prepared for things, know your traumas, know why you
learn about red flags.
So make sure you got something in your back pocket in case someone leaves you, and you're able to support yourself.
Yes.
That was hard for you. I know that was really hard for you.
Yeah. And it still is. I'm still trying to build up some kind of a retirement. I mean, I might never be able to retire, but I think I might be able to work less and less as I get into my golden years.
I mean, there was one thing I say I will be very grateful for and pat myself on the back for, is getting my degrees, and my career fucking saved me.
Yeah. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks. I'm proud of you too. It was hard. Everything was so hard. It's hard.
It's hard, people.
You think when you get to become an adult, it's easier. It's not. So learn from other people's goddamn mistakes.
Yeah, all right. That's the older generation has been wanting the young generation to do all through time.
I know. Learn from my mistakes, Missy. I'm like, you're like 35 years old. I'm only 17. Why would I care about what you have to say? You're so old. And then you're 35.
And they don't call us middle-aged. They just called us old people.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this was fun. I totally love rehashing our pain together.
Yeah, so much fun.